Well, friends, I've been warning you for quite some time that we are about to take another step downward in this downward decline of our society and Western civilization. And we're seeing some countries out there are taking a rather big step right now. We're going to talk about what's going on over in Japan. We're going to talk about what's going on over in the Middle East. We got a rice shortage in Japan, friends, and an oil shortage in Iran. There's some big things afoot, big things happening, and this is probably going to impact you sooner than you might think. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are the things the mainstream media just won't talk about. All right, friends, I don't know if you heard about the rice shortage in Japan, but I imagine you haven't. And that's kind of notable for several reasons. One, obviously, in Japan, they eat a lot of rice. And the fact that they have a shortage of rice, and we're not talking about like a little shortage of rice. Like, we have people lining up for hours and hours and hours to get their ration of rice. The agricultural minister over there has resigned over the rice shortage. Like, it's kind of a big deal. Over in Japan, it's a really big deal. So, one, it's a big deal because they eat a lot of rice and because this is happening. And two, it's a big deal too because the United States is heading down a similar path as Japan is. Japan has printed money like nobody's business, and their demographics are getting much older. Their population is getting older. And as this is happening, we're seeing that there's some major changes happening in their economy as well as their population. And one of those things is their farms. Their agriculture is dying. The average age of farmers in Japan is 69 years old. So you take a swath of farmers, the average age of those farmers is going to be 69 years old. That's kind of old. I mean, that's average, not like some people are farming at age 69 or some are farming at 70. That's average. You can see how that's impacted things. They had a bad harvest back in 2023. But really where this comes to the forefront is government mismanagement. Can anyone out there relate to government mismanagement of something that's important to the people, right? In Japan, they entrusted the agricultural ministry to handle making sure there's enough rice. Well, there isn't enough rice in Japan. Now, part of that is that they're snobs and they want the right kind of rice. Okay. But they haven't had problems producing that much rice before. Part of the problem is that they have high tariffs on other countries bringing rice into Japan. And part of the problem is that they just have government all up and around in the rice making business. And there is one of the political parties basically has this iron grip on the rice. I guess it makes sense in Japan, but it doesn't make sense in the United States. The rice party, right? The rice mafia. But over in Japan, they have such things. Anyway, so the government has been, they have a strategic rice reserve, which I think, once again, if you're thinking about Japan, you're like, in case Godzilla attacks, of course they have a strategic rice reserve. It sounds so Japanese, like that's something you'd expect them to do, right? Well, they have a strategic rice reserve, and they've been tapping their strategic rice reserve. But they've been doing it so slowly that the population is getting very upset about this. The explicit reason why the Minister of Agriculture had to resign was because he said that he didn't have to ever buy rice because all of his supporters just sent him rice. That's kind of concerning right there, is that the agricultural minister is so out of touch with people. He doesn't ever have to buy food, so how can he understand people who have to buy food, right? That's pretty out of touch, isn't it? Anyway, so they've been tapping the strategic stockpile, but last year they were 400,000 tons short of rice. Now, they're having trouble importing it due to their laws and regulations and tariffs and all that kind of stuff like that. Because unlike the United States, where we can just import rice from other countries, in Japan you can't just do that. You have to meet certain standards, and they're trying to protect their farmers from, competition and capitalism. And when we look at the Japanese government, we see this, that they have been printing money. They've been printing money. Don't worry, we'll get to what's going on between Iran and Israel shortly. And I got some insights that I think are going to be really important for you to hear on that, including what's going to happen to your fuel prices because of that conflict over there. And some things have really changed over there. But back to Japan, the rice supplies, they don't have this free market system like the United States does. And that's one of the things that President Trump has been showing, is that like everyone in America kind of has this idea like, well, we let stuff come into our country free trade-wise. And so that means all the other countries in the world basically do the same thing. And that's not what's been happening. The United States has been letting other countries sell their stuff in the U.S., but other countries have not been allowing the United States or other countries to sell stuff in their countries. And so we've been pretending like we have free trade, but really, in reality, there's just been other countries protecting their markets, while at the same time the United States refusing to protect our own. So that's kind of what we've been seeing change out there, and it's good to see that change. Hopefully we can get to real, genuine, open markets. That would be a good, welcome change. But Japan, not so much. They're so bad off that they can't get enough rice. Like I said, the rice, when it's available, is twice the price of what it used to be. That's a lot more. And then in addition to that, the government is now banning reselling of rice. So if you get your rice, your ration of rice, and you're like, well, I don't need my ration of rice, I'm going to resell it, I'm going to sell it to somebody else, you're not allowed to do that. Which is like, is it yours or is it not yours? Well, I mean, it's your ration of rice from the government, so no. It's like a wartime economy happening in Japan, and most people are completely unaware of this. People are like, oh, it's good times forever, everything's fine, everything's perfect. It's like, well, not everywhere. Not everywhere is that the case. You go to some of these other places in the world, and they are having real, legitimate issues. And that just goes to show that the United States or your country could have real, legitimate issues where you are, and everything else could be fine in other people's countries. In other countries, over in Japan, things may be fine when there's real problems in the United States. We saw this with the egg shortage, right? We had egg crisis happening in the United States and in some places in Europe. And other places, like in Mexico, there was no egg crisis at all. The United States was just slaughtering, 100 million egg-laying hens, to protect them from the bird flu. But just across the border into Mexico, where they weren't slaughtering their hens, the bird flu didn't seem to be having much of effect down there. Because, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. If we're being lied to by the industry insiders and the government at large. All right, let's move on to oil shortages. One of the things I want to point out here that has been most surprising in this interchange between Iran and Israel has been that, that Israel is really serious about this. Like, they're not, we've seen them before do some retaliatory strikes where they poked Iran. Iran hit Israel, and Israel poked Iran back. And it was kind of like, okay, so that's big nothing burger. This time around, that's not what's happening. Israel is really going after Iran and is pounding Iran, hitting industry, basically electronics factories. They're hitting refineries now, oil refineries and oil storage sites. are going up in flames. Military sites, surface-to-air missile batteries, their ballistic missiles that they were going to fire at Israel have been attacked by Israel before they could be launched, and that continues to happen. Radar sites, military bases, and scientists as well as high-ranking members of the Iranian military have all been targeted. So this is, Israel's not joking around. Israel is not playing around. They're really going after Iran. They can't hit everything in Iran that they need to hit, and that's why they've been trying to get the United States to get in on this, because they don't have the bunker-busting capabilities that the United States Air Force has. The big long-range bombers that can get into that airspace and really break things up, like these underground command and control bunkers and these underground nuclear facilities. Okay, that's number one. Number two, one big surprise here has been Iran has actually been hitting its targets. Now, we got a little bit of an inkling of this before when, what's his name? The guys down in Yemen, the Houthis, when they started launching, they were launching a couple missiles every so often up against Israel. And just recently, they landed a missile inside the compound of the Ben Gurion airport, right? Outside Tel Aviv. And the surprising thing about that was, like, they intended to hit the airport and they hit the airport. Like, they didn't hit, like, the main part of the airport, but I mean, it landed on the airport grounds, which from a targeting and, just accuracy perspective, that's actually really impressive. And in this recent spat, where Iran has been launching medium-range ballistic missiles and hypersonic missiles from Iran, they're actually hitting some of their targets, which the accuracy is off the scale. They hit the Israeli Pentagon, their version of the Pentagon. They hit another number of research targets, schools and such that help the Israeli military. They hit Haifa, the port. I mean, just the fact that they could hit the city in general is a significant improvement compared to what we've seen in the past. And this really does kind of point to maybe they're getting help from the Chinese, maybe they're getting help from the Russians, probably more the Russians. But the fact that they're able to actually kind of hit the broadside of a barn is impressive. That they lit off the refinery in Haifa is very different than previous attacks, where they were just launching stuff and just hitting the desert. Like last time that they launched a retaliatory strike against Israel, half the missiles landed in the desert. And that just really showed that they didn't have much accuracy at all. They're just happy to hit Israel, right? Now they're like not only trying to hit cities, but they're trying to hit like specific targets inside those cities, which is a big change, like I said. And I think I'm not the only one surprised by that. I think other people are kind of surprised at how accurate these missiles are, or at least some of these missiles are. I don't know if it's like they got some old school ones in the mix that are just kind of going wherever, and then they got some that are actually targeted at the locations and actually getting to where they need to go. And there's the mix of hypersonic missiles into the mix too. I know everyone's going to be out there going, oh, ballistic missiles are all hypersonic missiles. There's a difference between hypersonic cruise missiles that go like this, very fast, versus ballistic missiles that come in like this. At some points, the ballistic missiles are going at hypersonic speeds. But once they re-enter the atmosphere, generally speaking, they're going relatively slow, which means that they're easier to intercept. They're in free fall, generally speaking, so that they can be intercepted because they're just moving in a straight line, essentially. Whereas the hypersonic missiles can actually maneuver, and that's something that we have seen. If you've seen some of these videos where you see the missiles coming in like this, and then you see zip, a different kind of missile comes zipping in super fast and seemingly to cause more destruction. Part of it is that they cause destruction just from how fast they're going. So the kinetic energy of these hypersonic missiles is not inconsequential. All right, friends. So we got oil shortages happening in the Middle East right now, where all the oil comes from in the world, other than the United States. And Iran has lost 3 refineries and at least 3 or 4 oil dumps inside their country. This is causing shortages of fuel in Iran. And we're seeing a lot of the people in Tehran are fleeing the city. We've seen videos of that and pictures of that in the last couple of days. And with all these people trying to drive around, they're queuing for hours and hours and hours, lining up for hours and hours, trying to get fuel, and they just can't get it. Partly because these oil facilities and infrastructure is under attack by the Israeli Defense Forces, and that is causing chaos across Iran. Things collapse fast. Just a few days ago, Iran was up there talking smack, like real smack. And now people are talking about, is the Iranian government about to collapse? Going from we're so smart and we're so untouchable to the Iranian government, family members are like fleeing the country. And word on the street is that some of these high-ranking officials from inside Iran are looking at fleeing the country too. There may be only a matter of time before the people of Iran rise up and change their government. There has been a lot of discontent against the Ayatollah and the Islamic caliphate that is ruling in Iran. People are very upset with everything that's been going on there. So to see a change of government is very, very possible. And I'm sure the CIA, I'm sure Mossad and others are there looking at, and they have been looking at, who can they ally themselves with. There's multiple opposition parties inside Iran. They haven't really gotten organized up to this point. But all I have to point out is that things rapidly changed in Japan, and things that we're looking at it from outside going, that doesn't even make sense that that's happening, and yet it is. Now we're looking at Iran and similar things where just a few days ago things were normal, and now things are absolutely abnormal. How fast can things change? It can change just like that. So you should be prepared. You should be prepared for things to go sideways. U.S. military bases across the United States are on alert, as well as U.S. bases around the world. This is serious what's happening out there with the protests in the United States and with this conflict in the Middle East. We could see things go sideways really, really fast. And this gets back to buying American too. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of companies out there supporting these protests that I don't know about you. We drove past a protest yesterday, and I did not like what I saw. A lot of crude language on their signs. It was not a very big group. We're down here in Florida, and it wasn't very intimidating because we're down here in Florida. But at the same time, it's just like there's a lot of people who really, really don't like us, really don't like basic American values. And I can't help it, but when I go to the store, see these companies that all hate our guts. So if you're tired of supporting these companies that hate us and are supporting these type of protests that are anti things that matter to you, maybe Israel, maybe capitalism, maybe just fixing the government inside the United States. If they're against these things, like, should we be supporting them anymore? Well, we do have an opportunity for you to fix that. If you're already spending money on cleaning supplies, vitamins, fresh beef, if you order stuff from your store, or if you go to your store and you buy a bunch of these things already, snacks, healthy things, and if you're concerned about chemicals and about getting clean products, do you want to buy from an American company, American companies that don't hate you, they're family owned, that in addition to that, they produce everything in the United States and not necessarily spend much more money. That is actually all possible. Now, it does mean not going to a store anymore like Walmart and Target and these other big box stores, but actually getting part of a subscription service where you order online and they ship it to you once a month, like Amazon, but they ship it to your door. You do have to buy a certain amount so that the shipping doesn't become like outrageous compared to the prices. But the prices are actually very comparable to the things that you can find that are comparable at some of these big box stores. But the quality is so much better. And not only that, but you also have somebody that you can ask questions about the products. That's one of the things I love the most about it, is that we have someone from our audience will actually take you on a tour of the website, explain things to you, answer questions about individual products to you and the ingredients inside them, or they'll be able to go and find that information and bring it back to you. And then as you're purchasing things over the months and years, you can always reach out to your rep. That's, like I said, a viewer of this channel. A lot of people develop relationships with their reps, and they can always ask questions about, we're looking for a new cleaning supply here that's not going to have all the chemicals in it. Like, what can we do with that? How can we switch over here? Is this a good buy? What products do you like? And that kind of thing. That is a relationship, which you don't get from your stores anymore these days, right? If you want to find out more about that, if you want a free tour from one of the members, one of the watchmen on this community, who will take you online, show you the portal, show you the prices, explain the whole program to you, just pop that link down below in the pinned comment. Just click on that, the switch. Talk about Switch, and fill out your information, and they will get in contact with you. They'll text you or email you or whatever, and then set up a time with you that they'll take you on a tour, a virtual tour of everything, explain everything, and you can decide whether it's a good fit for you and your family. All right, friends, that's down in the pinned comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.